All right, hey guys, today we're going to be installing the Viper brass independent front end setup on the Mega G Plus car. Let's do it. All right guys, we got our Mega G Plus here, so we're going to be doing the installation video of the independent front end. So this stock front end is kind of a chore to get off of here because they have knurled the axle, and the easiest way honestly is to just cut with a Dremel tool to cut the axle. You can use pliers, but it is a hardened axle and it probably will destroy your tires. Another option is to use a puller, and it does kind of ruin the stock wheels, but honestly on these, if you're married to the stock wheels, you probably wouldn't be doing this upgrade anyway. So for this video, I've already removed them, I've pressed them back on, and I can now remove them by hand. You can see the knurling on the end of that, and we're just going to put these guys out of the way here. We have our Mega G Plus with no front axle setup, and right here we have the Viper brass independent front end setup. We will pour out the contents of this into our tray here. So every kit comes with an axle, 2 independent front tires that are sized for the Mega G front end, 2 brass front wheels. So you can use our aluminum or the Delrin front wheels on this as well, but we prefer the brass ones because the Mega Gs are almost always sprung stiff in the front, and the extra weight of the brass helps out there. So real quick, we'll put the car aside. You want to use a hard surface, so I happen to be using a Viper setup block here. You want to put your retainer on the setup block, and you'll notice that the retainers have a countersunk side, and then they have a side that is not countersunk. I prefer to use the countersunk side up. You'll place your rim over the retainer, and then your axle, you can just set it in like so. Now it's not pressed into the retainer yet, so now you want to use, I use this wood dowel here. You can see it's got holes in the end because it's been used thousands of times to do this. You can use the butt of a screwdriver, but you will just press straight down, and that presses your retainer on there. So you can see that retainer is now flush, and this thing is ready to install halfway onto the Mega G front end. Okay, so this second step, we're going to repeat that process, but now we have the car in our hand, and we, if you were to space these, you can put spacers in there to make it exactly the way that you want it. For this video, we're not doing that. You set this guy on there, and you'll see when you push down, it pops up right here. You'll use your press again, and your front end is on there. You can check your side play. You definitely want to have side play. I found that on a sectional track like a Tomy track or a Tyco track that sometimes the cars actually run better with a little bit more side play than they would if you were running it on a routed track. But that is now installed, and our next step is to put our tires on there. So these you just kind of force over. When you do that, it's going to look like that, which is not the way that you want to finish the install. So now, putting my fingernail over the edge of the rim, rolling it with my thumb, and you kind of just seat that tire down on there and spin it until it spins true. So you want it to basically be not wobbling. Like this one right now has some wobble to it, and you want to try to get it to seat on there the best that you can without it making wobblies, which you'll also hear when you drive it if you were to drive it like that, but we'll repeat that on this side here. You could put a little bit of oil or maybe some water on there to get that stuff to kind of fit down in there, but you can see this one looks a little bit better. And you just continue to work those in until you get them nice and straight, and now that front end setup is on the car. That's pretty much it. If you wanted to remove the setup, you could use a puller, but you just need to make sure that the tip of the puller is smaller than the axle size. So I'd probably say like 0.42. My method is I usually just grab it like so, and I'll pull, and everything's come off. And if you notice, when I was pulling it, I covered that retainer, because if you don't and you pull this thing, the retainer's going to go flying and it's going to be gone. So that's how that setup is put together. Pretty much the same on all cars. That's the same assembly. Now we have a nice independent front setup. We have a lot of different tire sizes. If you wanted to lower this thing, this is really just set up for stock trim. This car does have low profile rear tires on it, so the whole car is lower. You probably could get away with running a lower tire on it, but for this video's purpose, there's not really a need for that. And we hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out our other videos, and if you have suggestions for new videos, or if there's things that wasn't clear in this one, feel free to leave that in the comments below.